For Rio Tinto, community engagement is actually a vital element of us securing recognition as developer of choice. We know that communities' work, when it's well informed and well planned and executed, can deliver real value for us, and conversely, not paying attention to above ground issues will guarantee project failure. A bit of definitional explanation here. For Rio Tinto, communities are people who are directly affected by the activities of our operations. Why do I say that? Because there's a lot of conflation in the world about communities and stakeholders. So yes, we have a stakeholder engagement program and we define them as people who can affect our operations. Why we are very clear in our differentiation between communities and stakeholders is that community voices get completely lost in the cacophony of noise that is made by every other self-interested group in the world. And for us in particular, working in emerging frontiers, we need to listen and make room for locally directed, affected communities tell us what's important. And increasingly, local people have a greater control over their own destiny. That means that, you know, for us, instead of relying upon a sovereign legal entitlement to operate, we also have to secure a local social licence to operate. And in the many communities in emerging frontiers where I travel, for instance, when asked what is most important to them, people invariably tell me something along the lines of economic and livelihood certainty. At Rio Tinto, we believe then that our social licence is best served by developing local economies in the places where we operate. In this way, in contrast to charitable giving and sponsorship, which conversely feed a culture of dependency and resentment and complaint, we seek to address a much more ambitious and useful objective of improving the livelihoods and economic participation of our community hosts. We actually want them to be active participants in the emerging economies that are engendered by the presence of our operations. I think informed commentators recognise this and support this approach, and there's no better example indeed than the UN Global Compact and the Charter of the PSI. Local economic participation is also precisely at the heart of legislation emerging around the world aimed at securing economic empowerment and social consent in a post-colonial and democratising world. And there are many examples ranging from native title in Australia to broad-based black economic empowerment in South Africa to the new mining charter, etc., etc. And it's also captured in the narrative expectations of CSR, although I have to say in Rio Tinto we prefer to think of it as ESI, enlightened self-interest. So I apologise to any people who may cringe slightly at our unashamedly hard-nosed and cold-blooded business approach to the way we do this. But let me say, we're not oblivious to moral concerns. You know, for instance, when it comes to health and safety, we believe that it's an ethical and not just a legal matter. That is the responsibility to protect our employees and surrounding communities from harm. Similarly, the basic human rights of people in affected communities needs to be respected, not just because it's good business, but because it is actually the right thing to do. While the array of social and economic circumstances that we encounter all around the world, we recognise a need to protect the most vulnerable from the adverse impacts of our presence. Frontier communities may express a desire for economic development and accept that changes will occur, but they also wish to enjoy this within a society and within a rhythm of life that reflects their own idiosyncratic heritage. For successful project development in frontier regions, our work with communities cannot be based on fringe liaison, philanthropic or marginal mitigation activity, nor can it be substituted by attention to international agendas, PR gloss and national level trade-offs. Other extractive companies may pursue short-term rapid payback strategies in frontier economies, and indeed private and sovereign equity companies seem confined to this approach, but at Rio Tinto we invest at low levels over long periods to build economic participation as a foundation for societal stability. We do this because these are the conditions we need for the sustainability of our long life operations. The vision of the UN Global Compact, encapsulated in the Charter and the remit of the PSI, is completely aligned to this worldview.